what's going on, fam? It's Nee. Welcome to STEMedia Live. Oh, man, I'm excited. How y'all doing, man? How y'all doing this evening? Welcome to another STEMedia Live. I am your host, Dr. Nehemiah Mabry. This is the place, in case you did not know, where we chat with some of the most inspirational and creative people in the STEM community. And today is no exception. I'm excited because we have phenomenal guests. We got double the pleasure this evening. We have two great guests that all represent one organization that we're going to have with us this evening. But first of all, let me know how you're doing. Give me a thumbs up in the comments if you are feeling good this evening. Give me a thumbs up. Let me know how you feeling. I'm feeling all right. I'm feeling pretty good. I'm excited. This is always the highlight of my weekend. Give me a thumbs up, y'all. If y'all can hear me well, if you're feeling good, if you're looking forward to this interview, please give me a thumbs up in the comments, because this is going to be a great conversation. I can assure you that. What's going on, Landscape Nancy? Good to see you. It's Eileen. Good to see you. Yes. Thumbs up. If you're feeling good, if you're doing all right, give me a thumbs up. Shout out to the people watching on Instagram. Thank you, Jen. Shout out to people watching on Instagram. If you're watching on Instagram, shout out to you. Shout out to people watching on YouTube, which is what I meant to say the first time. We are actually streaming right now on youtube.com/STEMedia. If you're watching on YouTube and this is your first time, go ahead and hit subscribe below. Make sure you like and comment. And if you're on Instagram, go over to YouTube when you get a chance, youtube.com/STEMedia, and subscribe to our channel. We're trying to lean in on Instagram. We're trying to make sure that we are searchable there so that people can continue to get this inspirational and creative STEM content. Is that cool? What's up, Miss Erica Kane? Good to see you. Miss Erica Kane, good to see you. We are, again, in for a treat tonight. We're going to have two different guests, and they're going to be in two different places. So we're going to alternate. We're going to get a little tag team going. But let me introduce you all to the organization that they represent. The name of the organization that they represent is called Gear 'em Up. Gear 'em Up. And for those who don't know, Gear 'em Up is an organization. They're a nonprofit that provides athletic apparel and educational resources to underserved youth across Africa. What up, Brittany? Thanks for coming through. Y'all got to give some hearts to this great organization. Gear 'em Up imagines a world where all athletes have adequate access to apparel, equipment, and facilities to pursue their best and succeed in their sporting career. Yes, that's right. They were able to host Nigeria's first ever sport and STEM camp, and they provided free basketball and track clinics. Not only that, but also drone racing and building. Since 2017, they served over 1,000 youth across Africa, and they've partnered with individuals and organizations such as Nike, the Golden State Warriors, the Ivy League, Pac-12, and many others. Now they're expanding across the U.S. Yes, keep the hearts coming. They're expanding across the U.S. During the pandemic, aiming to provide academic resources to many youth. And so we're going to start off this interviewing one of our two guests this evening, Miss Marvellous. And so I want to introduce you all to Miss Marvellous. If you can get ready to welcome her on. She is a Nigerian American. She is passionate about using her talents to empower youth around the world, and she is currently a third-year law student at Harvard Law School, where she is also the president of the African Law Association and provides opportunities for students to travel and work on pressing legal and human rights issues across African countries. All right, without further ado, y'all do me a favor. We're going to introduce we're going to bring on our first guest. Let's get the hearts coming. Let's get the love going. Let's get the energy going. I look forward to your positive energy, comments, and thoughts as we welcome this evening the first of two, Miss Marvellous. She is on the way. Hey!
Hi, Nehemiah. Thanks so much for having me. I hope everyone can see me and hear me.
Yeah, no, you're like perfectly framed. Like I don't know. You must have did this before. It's just like boom, right in the. My head is getting cut off, and you're like perfectly framed. Yeah.
I've been working from home for like 4 months now, so I've kind of gotten used to the whole like video, Zoom, all that shebang. But super happy to be here.
Oh, I'm happy to have you. I feel like, again, this is long overdue. I say that so often, but this for sure is long overdue, because I remember, we're talking about the camp you all did. I remember before you were kind of talking about how you were all going to do it. And I'm just so happy to get you on to learn not only more about that, but about you as an individual. So we're going to kick things off with our first staple question, Marvellous, that we always ask guests. And that is, give us a random fun fact about yourself, something that perhaps the audience would be surprised to know. Just any fun fact.
So I happen to be one of those people who have I've just lived life. So I have a lot of fun facts, but I'll do this one.
Yeah.
So I was, in an art exhibit in Harlem at the Studio Museum of Harlem in February of 2017 as an art piece. So that's a fun fact.
Wait a minute. So you mean you did one of those Miami statue type deals? How were you an art piece exactly?
So it was a picture of my face. So I was a muse. It was like a painting of me in a museum.
Wow. Y'all give us some hearts and give us some love for that. That is pretty interesting. That is pretty amazing. How did you get that opportunity? How did that come about? Somebody just saw you on the road and hey, I need you to be my muse.
Yeah, I'm just a very friendly person. And so I just kind of was walking down the street in Harlem and someone approached me and was like, oh, hey, I'm doing this art project. We want you to, kind of help us. And I'm thinking it's just a school project. And then the person emailed me and it's like, oh, actually, I commissioned your work to the Studio of Harlem Museum, and they want to feature you as part of our Black History Month gallery. So that was 3 years ago.
That's dope, man. Y'all give her some hearts. Give her some fire emojis right now in the comments if you can for being our art exhibit, the muse. That is a pretty fun fact. I know you got pictures and stuff from that experience too, right?
I have it. I have some pictures, and I'm still in touch with the artist.
Awesome. We're cool, y'all. Again, we're talking to Marvellous. She is one half of our guest this evening, representing Gear 'em Up organization. And Marvellous, you are a third year. Are you currently still a third year law student, or was that okay? Yeah. All right. At Harvard Law School, and prior to that, you were at Columbia. So I'm assuming that's when you were walking down the street of Harlem, right, up in New York. Yeah. But even before that, you have roots, and maybe you can walk us through this. You have roots in Nigeria. So talk to us a little bit about your journey here to the United States and how you even end up in New York to begin with.
Yeah, well, that's a really good question. So I'm originally from Nigeria, specifically Aba, which is a sort of kind of small city. I always tell people it's kind of like the Detroit of Nigeria, because it used to be bustling, and then all of a sudden kind of a lot of things led to it changed kind of being this changed. So I moved to the US in the early 2000s. My dad won the visa lottery. So the US has this program where they have a lottery, and instead of winning money, you win a green card. So my dad won that, and we were able to move to the US about almost 18 or 17 years ago now. And we moved from Aba to Austin, Texas. And from Austin, Texas, I, went to high school in Austin, and then ended up going to Columbia for university for college, where I ran track on the team and also studied psychology and business management for 4 years. And then after that, worked for a little bit in New York, working for the NBA in their legal department, and also being a professional athlete. So I was, like I said, I've lived a lot of lives.
You're going really fast right now, and I'm like, wait.
I've lived a lot of lives.
No, that's impressive. So one of the things that I heard you say is that you were a professional athlete, but you also got all these degrees. So you were the definition of a scholar athlete, if there ever is one. How did you manage all that, and what gave you, I guess, the capacity to kind of balance all that to begin with? How did you get involved in that?
A lot of obstacles from a very young age. And so kind of growing up and becoming an adult, I really, from my life, obstacles from moving, being an immigrant, losing a brother, having all these things that happened to me from a young age, I've been able to really learn how to be resilient. And I think for me, it was just time management. There were things that I wanted to do, and I thought, okay, what organization can I go to that will allow me to work? And then also, if I want to chase this dream, I can also go chase it. So I'm really grateful to have had, I think for me, people that I could go to and say, hey, this is a dream that I want to do. And they were really supportive of me. Even if they didn't know how to get me there, just a little bit of, hey, Marvellous, you can do that. Or, hey, you can dream that was enough for me to be able to go after these opportunities.
Gotcha. So that actually gives us a little bit of clue into how, I guess gear 'em up even makes sense for you. But you were in the field of, you were in the sport of track and field, correct? All right.
Yeah.
So what was your specialty? What were your focus? I mean, you were a sprinter. Were you in the field? Like, what were you doing?
Yeah, no, my events were sprints, so the short sprint. So I always tell people the events that Usain Bolt does. So the 100 and the 200. And for me, I started running track when I was 15 or 14, and it's, has always been part of my life, part of my identity, part of who I am. And, for me, Gear 'em Up was a way for me to be able to continue to give back to that athletic community. And especially for me at the time, a community of, young student athletes who were at one point like me living in Nigeria, and then being able to utilize education and sports to sort of quote unquote, make it in terms of being able to access more opportunities than I had growing up, or than my parents had growing up.
That makes a lot of sense, because after reading y'all, this is Marvellous, by the way. If you're watching this is Marvellous. I couldn't pronounce your last name. You might pronounce it for us real quick?
It's a Hucomary, but I like going by my first name.
Got you. Yeah, for sure. And your handle, in fact, is Stay Marvellous. If y'all see this on Instagram, you can see her handle up in the corner, and you can definitely follow her. But I was going to say that makes sense, because you seem to have a passion, as it says even in your bio, for servitude and leadership and really giving back. In fact, I know that this isn't the first nonprofit work that you've done. Am I correct? Like you've been involved in providing, like legal services and so forth, even at Harvard. So talk a little bit about some of the other things that you've done in the nonprofit sector as well.
No, absolutely. Like you said, for me, giving back is who I am. Like it's, anyone that meets you and you ask them about who I am, like I probably met them because I was helping them with something. I feel that I've gotten to a place where I've gotten a lot of things through a lot of hard work, of course. And so I feel like I have this obligation to, each one reach one, and to be able to help people in my communities. And so to your question of other nonprofit work, I've been able to work with women in Austin, Texas. I remember 4 years ago, kind of straight out of college, I came back to my city and hosted an event for women. About 100 to 110 women came, and we just did career workshopping and everything for those young women, specifically young Black women, to be able to give them the tools to succeed. And, even now in law school, I'm so active in, whether it's, from last year when I went to the border and worked in a detention center and worked with people who were seeking asylum relief, and just a lot of things I've been able to do now that I'm in law school in terms of helping people of color start their corporations or their nonprofits or their businesses. There's just a gamut of things that I've been able to do now that I'm in law school, because I do have those skills to be able to, whether it's, help someone fill out an immigration form, or help someone thinking about the way that they want to structure their business, or help, some law school. And even before this Zoom, even before this IG call, I was on a Zoom call for a mentoring platform for student athletes that I'm helping a friend run, and being able to mentor a student athlete for the upcoming school year in terms of finding jobs and things like that.
Right. Man, you have so much, and I see exactly why you mean, you lived a lot of lives, because there's just so much I can go into, and really one of the things, and I'm going to ask you this before I kind of keep going, but that being a passion of yours, right? Giving back and serving others. Can you tell us why, if someone's watching this, why is that important, and how has that rewarded you, would you say, when it comes to serving?
Yeah, I think for me, serving again, is just part of who I am. And I think it comes from my sort of background of faith. Like, I'm a believer, and I try to live my life in the way that Jesus lived his, and he was the, ultimate servant, right? And so for me, a lot of the reason why I serve comes from that, and comes from my, beliefs and loving, everyone that I come across as, myself, and as God has also loved me. And so for me, it stems from that. And then also the reward for me is that, a lot of things that I've been able to do in my life have been from strangers helping me. And I think that's just like a way of, I don't know, like positive vibes sort of rewarding each other, because I put myself out there so much for people. And in the same way, people put themselves out there for me. And it's also just great in terms of being able to inspire other people and know that, another young immigrant girl can look up to me and what I've done and say, I'm going to be able to do X, Y, and Z, even though I come from a community where X, Y, and Z isn't happening, or where, the stats or data say that I can't get there. So I think for me, it's being able to know that my life story is something that someone can see and be able to be inspired, even if they're in the lowest of their lows.
Yes. That's an inspiring word. Y'all give her some hearts. Give her some love for that. Marvelous. That's beautiful. I see my friend Nick at Night Living says, yes, exactly. Paying it forward. I definitely resonate with what you're saying. It's all about sowing, and you reap what you sow. And so that's just a fantastic explanation. And I really feel as though that more people can benefit from just really catching on to what you have found to be beneficial in your life. So that's really dope. So we're going to come back to you in just a little bit. We definitely want to make sure we get your partner, Khadijah, on. And so we're going to say, see you later for a second, y'all. Give her some hearts on the way out. Give her some love on the way out. And we're going to bring Khadijah on and learn a little bit about her story as well. All right, Marvelous. We'll see you in a little bit. All right, y'all, check this out. So our next person, again, we told you we're going to do a little tag team, is Khadijah Suleiman. She says she takes a vision. This is when it comes to the organization. She takes a vision and she makes it a reality through sound strategy and development. She has a unique blend of business savviness and unparalleled experience in the sports industry. She is respected as an inspirational leader, a credible voice, and a creative innovator. You all, please join me and give me some hearts, give me some love, and welcome again another member of the Gear 'em Up team, Miss Khadijah Suleiman. Y'all give her some hearts, give her some love. Let's welcome her on at this time. Much love, much love, much love. Hey! Listen, man, I'm digging this, man. I got two guests that are two different parts of the country. Now, y'all are, we just talked to Marvellous. Where's Marvellous and where are you in relation to each other, like physically?
She's based in Boston, but I think right now she might be in Texas, and I'm here in Los Angeles, California.
Yeah, so we crossing time zones and everything, because I'm on the East Coast. We making it work, right, Khadijah?
Definitely.
Awesome. Well, thank you for joining us here on STEMedia Live. So happy to have you and featuring Gear 'em Up this evening. It's so awesome. It's a treat.
Thank you. This is my first time actually having like an IG interview, so I'm fully tuned in.
Oh, okay. Cool. Well, we're going to do. Yeah, hey, look, we'll take it. Listen, STEMedia, we will take it. I appreciate it. Now, let me ask you this, though. You had a little chance to kind of like, I guess, study up. You got the questions ahead of time. Yeah, what is that random fun fact about yourself that you can share with us that the audience may not expect to hear?
I attended boarding school in Nigeria. Growing up.
Did you?
Yeah. 7th and 8th.
What grades? 7th and 8th grade. Mm-hmm. Wow. I didn't know that. I know about boarding schools here, like high school, but that was pretty young, huh? You went away from home at a young age.
Yeah. My parents were like,
how was it?
My parents were like, you gotta get out of here.
Were your family in Nigeria at the time, or were you already in America?
They were in America.
So you went back to Nigeria. Oh, wow. That's even more profound.
Yeah, I stayed with my aunt, but then when it was boarding school time, of course, I was away from her. So, yeah.
Got you. Gotcha. So what did you like about that experience? Like, how was it for you? Did you mature quickly?
Yeah, I loved it. I think it kind of taught me to be like self-sufficient. It taught me how to be disciplined. I want to say it gave me like a good structure in life. It kept me balanced and just taught me so many things at a young age to be able to go out and fetch it for myself.
Gotcha. All right, y'all. This is Khadijah, and I'm saying it right, Khadijah?
Yeah, you got it. Correct.
Khadijah, and I already know, like, I think we're not too far in age, but when I hear that name, you know exactly what I think about, right? Like the TV show. Hey, single. Hey, you definitely. I know you do. And I didn't want to be that guy, but when I saw it, I was like, yo, keep your head up. Hey, keep your head up. I love it. Yeah. It's dope. And you definitely seem to have, just a very good energy and vibe like this show had. But this is what I want to know, Khadijah. I want to know, your journey. Now, if I'm not mistaken, you are the founder of Gear 'Em Up. Is that correct?
Correct. Yes.
Yeah. And you have also.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Well, no, I know that you also have an athletic background, obviously, that fits in the mission. But just go ahead and walk us through, like, I guess your journey up to that point, and we'll get into kind of Gear 'Em Up in a little bit. But tell us a little bit about your journey, athletic as well as academic.
Okay, awesome. So I got into sports at a really young age. I got in 7th and 8th grade. That's when I actually 7th grade primarily. So when I was living in Nigeria, we had this thing called inter-house sports, where you represent a sport. And so I represent but then there's also a house color. So whether you're green team, your yellow team, your red team, I was the yellow team. And so I had no experience with track at this age. I knew my sister ran at that age, but I had never ran. So I was yellow team, and they were like, hey, you look like you can run. And so come to find out, I was actually like the best in the school. And so like I racked up so many points in the 7th grade, and I was like, okay, this could be really good. Coming back to the U.S., when I came back in the 9th grade, I ran for my high school. And so at that time, I was in 9th grade, my brother was in about 11th grade, and he was a triple jumper, and he was amazing. So, going into the school, they already had high expectations for me. And so they put me on varsity. They put me in varsity in the 9th grade. So they had me running with pretty much the big dogs at that. And so
big dog.
So running all through, I ran from 9th grade to 12th grade, and so I had a couple scholarships. None primarily to any schools that I knew that I wanted to be at. So I went the junior college route. And so I went the junior college route because we actually had one of the top coaches in the nation. His name is Curtis Taylor. He's actually one of the head coaches at University of Oregon. So he's done a lot for the city of Oakland, primarily helping kids get scholarships to these larger schools. And so went there to join his team. It was an all-girls team called Laney College. Their football team is actually going to be on that new Netflix show. I can't think of what
it's coming up. It's on the way.
It's the school. It's the show where they pretty much go to all the junior colleges and they win championships. It's kind of like a rough upbringing type of situation. And did that. We were part of like one of the leading teams in the nation for junior college, and I got a scholarship to the University of Mississippi. Transferred there my junior year.
Come on now. I mean, listen, y'all both are like super. I know you got more to say, but I'm just tripping. Like,
I'm trying to round it up.
Yeah, I know, right? Like, sometimes it's just hard, man. Like, I guess we gotta like go through. I mean, you got a scholarship, which means that you really were good. You got all right. Anyway, you got a. Okay. All right. Cool. All right. So you got there.
Yeah, definitely grateful for that because, I had a ton of opportunities, but Ole Miss was pretty much, it was my first visit. And so by the time I got there, they sold me on everything. You feel me? The coach brought out all the rings. He brought out all the shoes. So by the time I went to every other school, I was like, nah, I'm going there at ever. So yeah, spent 3 years there, but I ran track there for 2.5 years. Sat on the student athlete advisor committee where we're pretty much the NCAA and the students, and graduated there 2016 with a degree in integrated marketing communications, and kind of asked myself my senior year, like what did I want to do, because I switched my major in college about 2 or 3 times.
Ain't nothing wrong with that. That happens. It happens.
I went from political science to psychology to marketing, so pretty much all over the place. But then I figured like the only thing that had kept me grounded throughout my life was sports. So I said, why not kind of get into the sports industry? So spent my senior year working for IMG. And so that's a it's a marketing company for sports, pretty much. And so ended up
sports marketing.
Ended up getting a job back here at UC Berkeley. I spent about a year and a half there with them. And so pretty much from there, I've kind of worked for different sports organizations. But then just recently, within the last year and a half, I stepped out from sports to get into music entertainment. So, I'm on the music side now. Not too much on sports, but Gear Up kind of keeps me grounded into the sports reality still.
Got you. Well, man, see, it's almost like I got like a bunch of questions that come to my head at one time, because part of me, honestly, to be honest with you, part of me, I'm just interested partly from just a business standpoint, because, STEMedia is what I've been doing. And when I started this organization, right, I had the intention of creating a perception, and even that led to a reality of image of STEM, similar to the marketing images that we do in sports, that we have in entertainment, creating a prestige, right, among it. And so, of course, I would look at, Wyden and Kennedy commercials that they did for Nike. You know what I mean? I would look at all these amazing marketing pieces and advertising works, which is really your industry. And so I'm really curious, like, as you have navigated this world, right, and worked for all these individuals, what have you found to be the thing that moves people, right? And I know sports is one thing, you're in entertainment. I know this may be kind of a little question, but apparently you have had experience with, campaigns and working in the field where the goal is to move people, to get people to respond, to get people to act. What are some of the things that you have found to be really common, whether it was sports or entertainment you're in now, or just your own kind of journey?
I would say some type of emotion or empathy. People want something that they can connect with and relate to. So, those would pretty much be the main targets, because when you're releasing any type of marketing tactic, in order to keep the client reeled in or the audience reeled in, they want something, a connection point. There has to be a connection point.
Because that's what we do in the commercial industry, but even when it comes to Gear 'em Up, and it talks about what you all's mission, giving access to the young people, but also I think there is a need for us to encourage and inspire young people to see the value in certain things that maybe at that age they don't quite see the value in. And so you started Gear 'em Up to provide not only athletic resources, but academic resources, and you all are still doing that. And I'm just wondering also what led to, give us a little bit of the story of how that vision came to be, and, sort of the early headway that you had in that particular effort.
Awesome. Yeah, that's great. People. That's actually a really great question. Gear 'em Up kind of started during the 2016 Olympic trials. So that's actually where I met Marvellous. So we were in Nigeria. Gosh, what state was it? Sorry, can't remember what state it is. Marvellous, if you're in here, please drop that in here. We're in a state, and so that's actually where me and Marvellous met. She actually knew my brother, and she had really great energy, and I loved her. I think we were even roommates that trip. I could have been wrong, but we just spent a lot of time. We spent a lot of time together, and so one day I think we had just finished competing, and a lot of kids would come up to us, and they're just kind of looking at us like they really valued and liked what we had. So whether it was our Nike shoes, whether it was our college apparel, they wanted it. And so these were kids that also were athletes, but they may have not been on the same level as us, but they were still athletes. And so we kind of noticed that there was a need for it. Like, they wanted what we had. And so I felt like, when you're no longer an athlete, what do you do with your athletic apparel? So I know I've always been the kind of person, my mom's always taught me, give back. Like, what you do, give it back. So previously, when donating clothes, I would take it to the Goodwill, I would take it to the Salvation Army, but not really processing that in my brain that they're profiting off what I'm giving them, when I could really be giving it to someone that could really benefit from it. And so, that's kind of how Gear 'em Up came about starting.
Got you. I see Marvellous made a comment too. Yeah, I'm with Khadijah Suleiman, and she said, Marvellous says on here, she says we were in Delta State. Yeah. 2016 Nigerian Olympic trials, which I understand you all were finalists for.
Yes,
correct?
Trials, correct.
Man, so you all are legit athletes. Like, in case anybody's watching this was wondering if they just like, right. Like, we're not talking about just fans here. We're talking about two legit athletes, Olympic trials, all that. So that's really interesting. So was that? And I really want to get Marvellous back on to tell kind of her side of the story. But let me ask you this: like, was that the moment you said that kind of formed the vision? Like, how did that?
It took some time. I would say I remember it vividly. On my ride back, I was in the car with my uncle, take me to the airport, and that's when I was just like, yo, like, I have to do something about this. I have to get back in some sort of way. And so I think I want to say maybe no less than like a month after that trip, maybe 2 months, I text Marvellous and I was like, yo, you want to like start an organization together? Like, we could like really help kids that need a lot of help.
Yeah.
And she was down, and she's kind of been down since then. That's like, I tell people all the time, she's like the best business partner. Like, we work really great hand in hand. Like, I think we equally balance each other out because Marvellous, she's everything. She's the brains to everything. She has the connections, and me too. Like, we just work really great together, and I'm grateful for her.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Khadijah, we're gonna definitely get you back on. We're gonna hear some more like sort of lessons you learned, and definitely gonna get into the sports STEM camp that you all did out in Nigeria, first ever out there, which is really cool, and obviously what caught my attention. But I'm gonna get her back on and get her side of the story of kind of what drew her in at that particular point. And so we'll be right back in just a second. That cool?
Yeah, no.
All right, gotcha. All right, y'all. Thank you so much for hanging out with me here on STEMedia Live. We're gonna get Marvellous back on here, and we're gonna talk to her a little bit about her start, how she got interested in it. Thank you all for the love. Thank you for Honey Coco. Appreciate you. The hearts, definitely a really good time here. We're gonna get Marvellous, who's handling the Stay Marvellous. I love it. Back here on to talk about her story. Here we go. What up, Marvellous?
Hey,
welcome back from the commercial break, I guess. Something like that. But you put in the comments kind of that early, start when you all were in Delta State and all of that. So let's talk about, I guess, what was it about the vision and even that experience, or even later when she contacted you, that really caused you to say, oh yeah, I'm down. I do a number of things, but this right here, I'm down.
Yeah, I think for me, it was, again, thinking about the, opportunities that I'd had and sort of our experience from that time in 2016, and thinking of how could I leverage my resources to help, and, thinking about, okay, here I am in the US. I'm also similar to a lot of these kids because, again, like, I grew up in Nigeria and then, moved over here through my parents coming, and then through education and sport, I've been able to access a lot of opportunities. And so it was perfect for me to be able to then give back, and knowing that I would be able to use sports and education to help these kids and, sort of show them, I've been in your footsteps. So I was you 7 years ago, and now I've been able to do this, and I also want to give you the keys to do that.
Got you. And as a lawyer, like, what was sort of like your first, I guess, like, organizational thought? I'm just always curious, like, when it's like, all right, let's do that. Did you always, really formalizing this and bringing your value as a legal mind?
Well, at the time, I wasn't in law school yet. I was still working in the legal department for the MBA. So I had some corporate law experience in that I was working for this big sports league, right, that everyone respects. And so I knew from the MBA's model, okay, these are certain things that we need to do to make sure that we're like serious and people understand the work that we're doing. But at the time I hadn't gone to law school, so I didn't really know what to look out for. But now that I am in law school, for example, when we did the camp, I was like, oh my God, we need waivers because we don't want
Right.
anything to happen to the kids. And so
Yeah.
I think at the time I was very much gung ho and happy about it, but didn't really know to question some of the legal surroundings around it because I hadn't gone to law school at the time. But now
Yeah.
there's like so many things that I see.
Yeah, no, and I love you answer this because this is a really interesting question to me. Shout out Timrod, good to see you. Teresa, good to see y'all. Thanks for coming through. I have Marvellous here. She is one half of our guests from Gear 'em Up, and we experienced something. We're still in something even now, Marvellous, that literally caused sports to stop, like stand still. You worked for the NBA for a few years, and they were like one of the first major leagues to be like, you know what, this pandemic is serious. We're suspending the series or the season, right? Mm-hmm. And now we're at a point where things are, I don't want to get to it, but they are starting to open up in various forms and shapes, right? And one of the things that the NBA is doing, and I know there's probably so much you can speak on it, but like the NBA is having this bubble down in Orlando, and the players are coming back. Not all the players, and they have like different things they're going to be managing and monitoring to make sure that things are safe. I am curious about that intersection of science and sport, and again, getting to the camp, but where there's this industry that multi-billion-dollar industry that brings a lot of value, that brings a lot of entertainment, brings a lot of right? That a lot of people depend on and love, but yet we're in a place where science and just the facts is still being discovered and being understood. Like we're still trying to figure out more and more about this thing. How does someone as a legal mind even like look at how a person might want to protect themselves, right? If I'm a athlete or I'm a business person and I'm operating sort of in this gray area, like how do you even kind of navigate that type of space?
Because I am still in law school, so I can't give any advice on here. So I'll just talk from my opinion. I think, just being wise about decisions and agreements that people get into and just being sure to make sure that language is very tight and just knowing, okay, if you're going to sign up to do an agreement, having, very strong language around when the agreement starts, when it ends, who has rights to certain things. Because I do know that there was a brief period of time because of certain clauses and certain contracts that certain companies just weren't receiving money for things that they expected to receive. Because on the other end, those other companies had contracts that said, hey, if in the case something terrible happens, we can back out of this. So, something terrible happened like coronavirus and they backed out of it. Yeah. So I think it's hiring really smart lawyers that are able to draft really good, tight agreements for you. And just kind of being mindful but in another way, like I've been trying to find the positives during this time, during this pandemic. And I think one good thing is that I do think that technology was at the point it was for if a pandemic happened right now for us to still be able to keep going. Because if this pandemic had happened 6 years ago when there was no Zoom or these kind of platforms, we all would have been basically SOL, right? We all would have just been like working from home would not have been something that we would be able to do. So in terms of this pandemic, I think that it's been able to shed a lot of light on the importance of STEM, the importance of every company having some kind of technology, interface for their employees to be able to use in the case of things like this. And even, in schools, I think schools are also starting to see the importance because a lot of schools, even though schools are still struggling, a lot of schools were able to pivot because they had already started providing computers in the classrooms and things like that. So kind of pivoting the question, I think one good thing is that in all industries, everyone is starting to realize the importance of technology and the importance of, hey, like, let's make sure that we have an interface to do X, Y, Z. And so I think it's causing industries to think about how technology intersects.
Absolutely, without a doubt, and it's by necessity. I think, on one hand, it's also sometimes a generational kind of divide around technology, it seems like, up to this point. But now, we all are like, how do you work this video call thing? All right, how are we going to do this? Right. That's how it was being referred to, though. You know what I mean? Like, what's the chat room or whatever? But yeah, no, I definitely think that is a bright spot. And speaking of timing, Marvellous, you all were able to get in the first ever sport and STEM camp in Nigeria right before this thing, hit the fan. And so let's talk a little bit about that vision, and definitely want to get Khadijah back on later on to talk about her side. But how did that idea come about? In fact, I learned about it through you. We kind of found out about it through you. How did that vision come about? And just talk a little bit about that experience when it came to planning this first ever sport and STEM camp, which I think is just a dope idea.
No, absolutely. I think the idea came about, for part of our organization, we always do something, whether it's, in the summer or during the winter. And last year, we had already done something in February in South Africa where we worked with orphans and helped rebuild basketball courts for them to play in partnership with the University of San Francisco. And so we were looking for another way to give back on the continent. And we happened to figure out, okay, we're going to go to Nigeria. We're going to work with certain teams and certain camps that we've already been in contact with. And then I happened to be in touch with one of my friends, Idara, who runs Let Girls Read, Run, Grow, which is another nonprofit. And we talked about, okay, maybe we can get together and do something together to help the continent, since we're all from the continent. And then we ended up bringing in one of her friends who actually owns the drone company that we use to teach the children drone racing and building, Global Air Drone Academy. And that was how it came about. We all thought, okay, how can we expand this camp from just a sports camp, but into a sports and STEM camp and teach these children multiple opportunities for them to be able to, whether it's poverty or what situation that they're in, but giving them more tools than, oh, here's a sports clinic, but also here's drone racing and building. And we at one point wanted to add in some points of career resources and also like health, nutrition training, but we sort of fell out of time to do that. But we thought, okay, let's do sport and STEM, because these are two things that we can use as platforms to teach the children and then make them feel, okay, build a drone. And so that's how it came together. And we were able to all work together, mostly between myself, Khadijah, and Idara. And we were able to get a center in Nigeria called Upbeat Center, which is kind of like a YMCA there. And we were able to use that site as the site for the camp, where we had it for 2 days. We had 50 students. On one day we did basketball training. The other day we did track. But on both days we did the drone racing and building. And the kids loved it. Like, they loved it. And everyone was like, I've never seen a drone before. I've never done this before. And it really showed us how much was missing in the gap for Nigeria, and just for like Black students and Black kids across the diaspora and their introduction to STEM.
Totally. Yeah, I saw the video, you sent the video, and I was like, man, this is dope. This is cool. Like, I can see that going on so many, being held in so many different sites, and really expanding, because it's such a great idea. And again, you were already able to get it in at a good time at the end of the year. I think it was in December 2019. Okay.
So it was December, during Christmas time. It was a week before Christmas.
A week before Christmas time. Yeah. So we got people responding to the comments. I think Teresa said, dope idea. Yes, it is, Teresa. Really good idea. Female Engineering Network said, this is awesome. Duke Clay is clapping her hands. Yes. Marvellous. I always think that there are, little small moments sometimes, microcosms that remind us why we do what we do. And I'm wondering if at this camp, or if you want to share another one, that's fine too, there was ever an encounter with a student or a story or just a moment that kind of stuck with you and caused you to say, you know what, like this is why we do what we do.
Absolutely. I have two. One is I had done, we had done another event somewhere else. I think at this point I was still in New York City, and I had a kid come up to me and say, "Hey, Miss Marvelous, thank you for coming. I want to be you remind me of who I'm going to be 15 years from now." And she said that. And at this point I was like 24 and I was like, "Oh, like someone is using me as like a model for what they want to be in life." And so that just helped me, really be happy about the work that I had done there. And then even at the camp that we had, just to see all the kids smiling, like all these kids come from different backgrounds, right? Like, so before they came to the camp, they wrote essays about why they wanted to come to the camp, and we selected them. We hand selected them from the essays they wrote. And just to see where these kids come from, like there were some kids who it took them 3 hours to get to the camp from where they were coming from. And, they were able to come with their club team, and then their club team coach drove them. And so to see where, what heights of places they were coming from, and to see them so happy, and then coming to us and saying, "Hey, like, thank you. You allowed me to dream," or having some of the shy girls being like, "Oh, I'm always shy to participate, but you allowed me to be myself and helped me learn a new skill," or just really, really, great things to hear from kids who wouldn't have it otherwise.
Totally. I love it. Well, I man, this is awesome. And who knows, man, one day maybe I can roll up to one of those camps, add some structural engineering, because that's my field, add some structural engineering to the mix. But back to a lot of our guests, and that is, some parting words of wisdom. We have people watching this. Our audience is primarily, STEM professionals, young STEM professionals, your peers just in different industries that are looking to do something great. And, a thing or two about doing something great as you continue to pursue and grow in the greatness that I know that's in front of you. What would be your parting words of wisdom for our audience?
I would say, don't be afraid to start. And, I say that to say, because I think a lot of people have ideas and they sit on them and they don't realize how you don't have to do something that brings 25,000 people and is on CNN or like all this or all the news articles to feel like you've made an impact. Start from where you are and don't be afraid to start. So for example, if there's something that you want to do, there's always a community, right, that you can go and do it at. There's always a small thing that you can do that can then build into something larger that then ends up on CNN or all those other places. And so even for us, when we were thinking about starting this camp, there was like some hesitation because we planned this whole camp without being in Nigeria. We literally trusted that everything would happen just by planning it here. And we planned it between myself being in Boston, Khadijah being in LA, and Adara being in New York. So we never actually saw each other during the whole time we were planning. And we trusted that the work that we would do would turn out well. So we planned it for about 2 or 3 months and then went to Nigeria in December and we're like, well, this is going to happen. Like we just had faith that it would. And so that's why I say, like, don't be afraid to start. If we were able to do something without seeing each other and plan it across continents, then you can definitely do something in your community by starting from where you are, identifying the issues that are where you are, and then putting your resources together, and you never know what you'll be able to do.
Yes. Y'all give her some hearts and some love for that. Marvelous. You've been so gracious. Thank you so much. I'm so happy to have you on, and we're going to get back to Khadijah in just a second. But just thank you and affirm everything you're doing. And I know this isn't the end of our contact. We definitely will speak a lot more. But we're going to jump back to Khadijah real quick and get some words from her as well. But thank you so much, Marvelous. I appreciate you.
Thanks for having us.
Yes, for sure. For sure. All right, y'all, about to bring Khadijah on one more time at the end, and going to get definitely some parting words of wisdom from her after we ask a couple of questions. Thank you for the hearts, y'all. Keep them coming. Keep the hearts coming. Man, so she gave us a little bit of the kind of the synopsis and the start of the camp, the sport and STEM camp. But one of the things I was interested to hear, particularly as she was talking about you all planning this thing remotely here in the United States, and then also had an organization. What's a drone company based in Nigeria as well? The
No,
drone
they're
organization?
well, they do have a location. I think the I actually spoke to the co-founder last week. He's actually relocating to Africa to start an academy there. But they're primarily they're in Maryland. They're in Maryland.
Okay. So what can you tell us a little bit about, managing and operating with a distributed team? Because we're in an age now where obviously, as it was just said, like it's a necessity now. And a lot of us want to build things, but we don't, even if it wasn't a pandemic, we don't always have the capital to get an office building and to relocate a team in one spot and all work together. But what can you give us a little bit about the strategy and the management and just the business mindset of managing a distributed team and still doing something as great as this camp turned out to be?
From the Gear 'em Up standpoint of strategizing, we haven't really been so successful with having a lot of grants. So we've had a lot of success through crowdfunding and people donating to us. So that's really what helped us carry along throughout the whole through the sport and STEM camp. So fundraisers helped primarily with that. And I think with the whole management side of things, I think we all just delegated tasks to individuals that we knew could take care of things. Like Idara, we had people ship equipment to New York. Since they were closer to New York, it would be easier for them to get the stuff from New York to Nigeria. And so they got in contact with like Columbia, Marvellous' previous school. They gave her the clothes and she just took it there. I think I was responsible. I got some equipment also from a former athlete at USC, who's actually a Nike athlete. So we just pretty much delegated tasks to everyone that just trust that, being that we gave each other certain tasks, we would get it done because we knew exactly what this meant to us.
Right. And was it like clear how the camp would actually happen on the ground? Because sometimes when you try to merge things, it's not always clear how you can kind of combine them. And when I hear sport and STEM, everybody, even including in the comments, is like, yo, this is a dope idea. But how do you begin to kind of flesh out how it wouldn't just seem like a forced fit? You know what I mean?
I think primarily we pretty much just trusted that it's going to go how it's going to go. Of course, you can be micromanaging things. You can expect things to go certain ways, but everything is never going to go as expected. And if it does, kudos and salute to you, because I mean, you really got the job done. But we just went with the flow, like Marvellous mentioned. Like whatever was in our control, we took care of that. I was in charge of the partnership with what was the name of the organization, the company, Upbeat Center. So I pretty much created the partnership with them to make sure that it was at a financial standpoint that we could all agree on. And so that worked. That was in great communication with them, and they've been great throughout the whole process. They helped us with everything, even way after. I'm still in contact with the manager there. She keeps up with us. She wants to know what we're doing. And so we were even hopefully wishing to have this go on yearly. But I mean, due to COVID, I definitely don't think that's happening this year.
I mean, at least we haven't figured out yet. I know I was talking to a friend of mine who has a sports camp. It wasn't a sports STEM camp, but I actually brought a STEM component myself and did some workshops at a sports camp before. And, the guy who runs it was trying to figure out how can we do this virtually. And I remember he was talking about an app, and they have apps where people can do their exercises, almost like fitness or whatever. Yeah. So, who knows? There may be some possibilities as far as that's concerned to do it virtually.
Oh, we're definitely looking into putting into some programs in order. So that will be something to look out for.
Yeah. Got you. And I got to double back real quick. You said a partnership, which you just obviously explained was incredibly well. Shout out to everybody in the comments. This is Khadijah from Gear 'em Up. These partnerships.
You just got to shoot some shot.
You know what I mean? I really. Go ahead.
So, the great thing with Upbeat Center, they were primarily new. It's pretty much a trampoline center in Lagos, Nigeria. And so there's not too many of those. And I want to say they were probably like 2 or 3 years in. So I kind of, gave them a standpoint of how it could be beneficial, not just to us and also to them. And so, I mean, I guess the points are pretty much pinned out to them. And a couple of appearances that we had show up, it was beneficial for them to want to work something out with us.
Gotcha. I mean, obviously you were able to put the words together right. As you pulled up from the outside and shot your shot.
Yeah.
Your shot percentage is probably pretty nice. So that's cool. That's cool. Thanks for sharing that.
No problem.
I'm wondering if you also have, as I asked Marvellous though, one of those moments in the camp or anything that you can point to and say, hey, this is something that stuck out to me. This is something that kind of reminded me why we do, or why we even did this, why those months of planning was even necessary.
There was no step aside, but I think just overall, the whole experience, like there's nothing like knowing that you made an impact on someone's life and just seeing the joy and the gratitude expressed on them throughout the whole moment. And so I think there was a lot of connecting points with one-on-one with each of the youth athletes, and whether it was them confiding in us or them just being comfortable to, talk to us. And I think just overall, like that's just a great experience, and that's what we look forward to doing so on and so on with Gear 'em Up.
Got you. Well, cool, man. I love it. So now you are, again, of course, moving forward with the organization. Tell us a little bit again about what you're doing, in your career. Like what type of management work are you doing now on the intern side?
So I'm currently in marketing, so it's more social media management and brand strategy. So I'm doing freelance currently, kind of due to COVID, things kind of like laid off a little bit.
Changed up a little bit.
Definitely. So I've been grateful to have a couple of clients that have kind of kept me in the swing of things, and I'm grateful for that. But, still moving forward, I'm hoping to have more opportunities once the world kind of clears up, because entertainment, if it's not a digital standpoint, everything's on lockdown. There's no concerts going on. There's no tours. There's nothing like that going on.
Yeah, for sure. Just think about, not only your background, Marvellous's background, and all that you all have accomplished as athletes, as students in the industry. I'm sure y'all got just a wealth of knowledge already at this, early point in your careers that you can really share, and the resilience that you've had to build up as changes have come along. And so, as we move forward, I would like to get, some parting words of wisdom from you. But before we get there, give us a little bit of how we can stay in touch with the organization, how we can find out more, how we can get involved in the future. Give us some of those details.
So you can follow, it's pinned right there, Gear 'em Up. And so pretty much there you can find our website, you can find our email, everything, but also our website is www.gearemup, so that's GEAREMUP.org. And then email is also info@gearemup.org.
Awesome. Quick question. How did y'all get the name? Who came up with the name? How's that?
I came up with it. Nah, I just, my sister as well. My sister played it. I was telling her, like, I want to do something that has to do with gear. What are some cool names? And my sister was just shooting them at me. And I think she threw something, gear 'em something. I was like, oh, wait, gear 'em up. Like, we gonna get them fresh. We gonna gear 'em up.
Yeah. For sure. Yeah. Well, shout out to your sister. I don't know if she's watching now. Shout out to her. Much love. Shout out to your other teammates too. Who are the other? You have at least one other team member as well that we don't have.
We have two other, one active, the other one is just on the board as well, and so that's Olivia Ekmone, and so she's actually, I believe she's not in Vegas, but she works with a broadcasting that broadcasts sports, so she actually couldn't be here with us today.
Awesome. All right, well, we got like a countdown, 15 seconds. I'm sorry to put you in this